Since your election victory, the media in India has pointed to key concerns and expectations of India from Sri Lanka. And I'd be interested in hearing what expectations did you come with, did Sri Lanka come with when you came to India and after your deliberations here? Um, how many of those have been fulfilled?
It was very good, actually. Especially the one-to-one discussion with His Excellency the Prime Minister was very good, and I'm very happy with the outcome. And I think we had, when we were uh, during Mahinda Rajapaksa government, at the end of the government, there was a lot of misunderstanding from both sides. And now we have to put those behind and move forward. And I think it is possible with Prime Minister Modi. And he is very, I came to know, it's a very practical person. And I think he will understand our needs, and genuinely we want to uh, strengthen our relationship. And I always said that we don't want to do anything which will, in the sense, jeopardize the security of uh, India, or that matter to any, any concerns of, against the concerns of India. We don't want to do anything. So we will be uh, genuine in this effect, and we want to work. And always I said we want to be neutral country. We don't want to get involved in world power rivalries. We don't. We are so small. We don't want to get in the middle of that. Of course, but strategically, I think Indian Ocean is very important. Has become important, and uh, in we are located geographically in a very strategic location, and especially because of the sea lanes which are going closer to Sri Lanka. And in that sense, um, we always we have said the Indian Ocean must be a zone of peace, and if we can, whatever we can do to keep that in that way, we will do that. We will assist to do that.
So, much is made of chemistry. I know that Prime Minister Modi is set to enjoy chemistry with some world leaders he meets. Did you sense that kind of chemistry with him? And I ask this for a specific reason, sir, because parallels have been drawn between your government, that of your brother, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, and also the dynamism currently shown by our current Prime Minister and his team, especially on the question of tackling global terrorism. That you have a zero tolerance approach that is seen as one of the commonalities your government and your administration has with ours. Could you comment on that perception and the chemistry?
Yes, definitely. That not only on security, but as on the development side, he has done a lot to India, and his approach is, we appreciate that, and I think that chemistry wise also it works very well.
The terrorism, Islamist terrorism, is not new to India, but it has been very new. What happened on Easter Day is very new to Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Muslim community has been a very peaceful community, and there has been no instances. There have been no instances of Islamist terrorism emanating from Sri Lanka. But this is a big worry right now, sir. At least sitting in India, one sometimes has the feeling that one is surrounded by many pockets of Islamist terrorism which are specifically aimed at India. What are the assurances that you are going to offer your own people, sir, since April, as well as India in that regard?
The Islamist terrorism has become a global, so it's not to common or specific to India or Sri Lanka. It's globally. Every country is threatened with the Islamic terrorism. So the only way is to tackle is, we have to be very conscious about it. The government has to be conscious and has to be given top priority, and especially on the intelligence side. Must have your own intelligence within your country, and at the same time, because it is global, you need to have intelligence sharing with your neighbors and all the other countries, and also the uh, to develop your technical capability on intelligence gathering. It's important to work with others, because today there are a lot of technology. It is very important to monitor the cyberspace, and there are even telephone conversations. These capabilities we have to develop, and also develop the capacity, because we were very good at countering the LTT terrorism, because over the years our intelligence agencies, they knew the whole background, the history, and the modus operandi, and all those things, the leaders, their whereabouts, all those things were known to our intelligence agencies. But unfortunately, this is a new threat for us, and we have to develop the capacity of our intelligence agencies, and definitely we will not tolerate at all any terrorism in our country.
So, question two, the Easter attacks themselves. What went wrong, sir? Because I was very much part of the end of the LTTE war. I have covered the war for many decades. And I know that there was a decisiveness which has been criticized and has also been the butt of, severe criticism and sanctions even to an extent. But what went wrong after all, these were 10 years of peace in Sri Lanka? What made Sri Lankans so complacent? And also, something must have gone wrong within the society itself to allow for this, seed of terrorism to take root.
No, it's not specific to Sri Lanka, but Islam terrorism was growing all over the world, and we have a Muslim community, and especially community which is working with the Middle East countries. A lot of people go to work there, and also this we have to understand. Um, the the Islam terrorism can be, anybody can be motivated or radicalized just being at home, because it's all in the internet, and all the preaching, everything is there. So we have to be very, very conscious about this factor. So probably our previous government did not pay the attention, or not given that much of priority to this area. Because of that, that this happened. But our intelligence agencies has the capacity to immediately to develop that. So we have to do that.
So, two last questions. I know I have to leave and I have to let you go. So, one is on the 13th Amendment and the Tamil, the future of the northern eastern provinces in Sri Lanka. The 13th Amendment goes way back to 1987, to a different era altogether. Yet, we did hear His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India, mention the 13th Amendment again yesterday. Would you say that the 13th Amendment needs, because much water has flown under the bridge, that it needs a radical revitalization, it needs a different avatar of it. It cannot be just applied in the same form as it was conceived. That was the first question.
The 13th Amendment is already in the Constitution. There are certain areas where we can't implement as it is, because we need certain changes in that. And but I believe more than that, we are always trying to approach from one angle. But even the Tamil politicians must understand, that for since independence they're talking about devolution and all that, but they were not considering the development of that area, the so answering the problems of the people, the unemployment, the issues with the fisheries, issues with the uh, agriculture. You to move forward, education. Um, these are things that I want to tackle while we were discussing these things. Otherwise, at the end, you are nowhere. Now, the last government, they were drafting constitutions and all those things. You have to understand, without the consent of the majority, you can't give solution. So if you come out with certain things that which are suspicious to the majority community, that cannot be implemented. That's a reality. But so there are things that, if you ask from the majority government, no one will be disagree to give them the same opportunity to give the environment to live in dignity. Their whether it is in religion or anything, that's no problem. But unfortunately, the Tamil political leaders are harping on this one thing, and since independence they are doing that without going nowhere. So they must be very realistic. You have to be a realistic and go with the people of the area, look at their livelihood, do work with. I'm ready to work with them to give them the livelihood, improve these, develop these areas, and address these issues of the people.
So, what would you like to say to Mr. Vaiko and the other gentlemen who were protesting on the day you arrived?
I don't have anything to
In
say.
this
I mean,
connection?
they have to, they are not looking at the people. The people in our country, on this area, uh, they want to live peacefully. They want to address the government to address their issues. That is, that's so that they should help rather than putting roadblocks or blocking these things. They must address these issues realistically.
Very last question on China and Hambantota, the port. I know that you told my colleague, Mr. Nitin, that you were contemplating a re-examination of the 99-year lease that your predecessor government granted to China. Could you elaborate a little on that, sir? Is that at all possible? If it was possible, why was it not?
I think it's possible because our party objected to this, protested when it was given, because this is it's a national asset. This is not like giving some land for a hotel or something like that. This is a very strategically important asset. So these type of things should be under the control of the government, and we should not think of present time. We have to think of future generations. These future generations will curse us if we give our important assets to other countries. We that is why we are not happy with that. Our party objected to this, protested to this, so that we want to discuss, and come to a good solution for it.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for